New Era was the hashtag adopted by the Erie Otters for the 2013-2014 OHL season, and the team was ready to live up to that motto. The groundwork had been laid over the last few years, and a special group was set to take the league by storm, despite many naysayers outside of Erie expecting the team to dwell at the bottom of the standings for another year. Chris Knobloch entered his first full season as head coach with the team, and he assembled a coaching staff that would help turn Erie from pretender to contender. Chris Hartsburg and Vince Lacey were brought in as full-time assistant coaches, and Cam McDonald joined as the team's goaltending coach. The leadership, teaching skills, and knowledge inside the coach's office were the foundation to turning this franchise around. There was a lot of buzz around training camp as the team assembled with a few new additions. The Otters traded for veteran overage forward Michael Curtis from the Belleville Bulls before camp started. Curtis brought a new voice to the locker room, as his leadership and winning attitude were just a few reasons why the team made the deal. Training camp also saw the much-anticipated arrival of skilled Swedish forward Andrei Burakovsky, the first-round pick of the Washington Capitals at the 2013 NHL entry draft. The city of Erie was ready for the hockey season as they watched their team blow through the Niagara Ice Dogs in their only home exhibition game. Andrei Burakovsky dazzled the crowd in their first glimpse of him as he went on to tally 2 goals and an assist. He teamed up with second-year centerman Connor McDavid and captain Connor Brown to account for 5 of Erie's 6 goals in the 6-3 exhibition victory. The Otters made one last tweak to their roster before the regular season started by bringing in defenseman Corey Genovese from the Sudbury Wolves in early September. Genovese is known as one of the toughest players in the OHL. With his grit and tenacity, a welcomed addition to the blue line. Erie also welcomed back a host of players from NHL camps as the new campaign began on the road with a 5-game trip. The Otters returned from the road after a small stumble out of the gate, going 2-2-1 in their opening road trip. All eyes in Erie were on the team for the grand reopening of the Erie Insurance Arena on October 5th after its multi-million-dollar facelift. The Otters didn't disappoint, entertaining the crowd of 5,711 as they pounded on the North Bay Battalion. Andrei Burakovsky recorded a 5-point night in the 8-4 home opening win, as Connor Brown and Dane Fox each recorded a pair of goals and assists for 4 points on the night. The team picked up a lot of momentum from the home opener as they took an assault on the league standings during the month of October. The Otters didn't lose a single game during that month, going a perfect 10-0. Erie continued their tear through November as the team went on to win a team record 11 games in a row. The October streak brought some league recognition to the Otters. Connor McDavid was named OHL Player of the Month for October as he recorded 19 assists and 23 points in the 10 games played. Oscar Dansk was also named Goaltender of the Month for October as he posted an 8-0 record with a league-low goals against average of 1.75 and a save percentage of .921. Despite the strong month of October, it seemed the Otters still weren't being taken seriously as a power in the Western Conference. In the midst of their winning streak, the Otters put the entire OHL on notice when they made their first trip to London on October 25th. In front of a capacity crowd at the Budweiser Gardens, the Otters proved they were a force to be reckoned with. Dane Fox put the Otters up 1-0 with a power play goal a little over 2 minutes into the game. Max Domi tied the game late in the first, but it was Erie who owned the final 40 minutes. Erie fired 36 shots over the next 2 periods to power their way through the Knights. Adam Pellick's power play tally put Erie up for good just under 3 minutes to go in the second period. Michael Curtis would get on the board in the second as well, as the Otters notched 4 unanswered goals on their way to stunning the London Knights at home 5-1. The OHL was now on high alert, the team in Erie, Pennsylvania. That special month sent the Erie Otters into the voting for being one of the best teams in the entire Canadian Hockey League. The October 30th rankings came out with the Otters leaping into the 5th spot from out of nowhere. That marked the first time Erie popped up in the CHL Top 10 in 11 years. The Otters would march their way to the top ranking in the CHL standings by December and hold the number 1 spot into the new year from December 4th to January 2nd. It marked the first time the Otters were among the top of the CHL rankings since the 2000-2001 season. Erie continued to roll into November, winning 11 of their 13 games during the month. Dane Fox broke out during November, scoring a league-high 15 goals and tallying 29 points in 13 games. Fox was named OHL Player of the Month for his efforts, but he wasn't the only Otter to get recognized by the league. Devin Williams stepped in for Oscar Dansk during November as the Swedish goaltender battled a minor injury. Williams posted a perfect 9-0 record with 2 shutouts and a goals against average of 1.95 and a save percentage of .925 as he was named the league's goaltender of the month. November also provided what may have been the most dramatic comeback Erie has seen in a long time. The Otters welcomed the Storm to the Erie Insurance Arena on November 16th. It was a battle for supremacy in the Midwest Division as 2 of the top teams in the OHL met up for the second time on the season. The Storm jumped out to a 3-0 lead over the course of the first 2 periods of the game. Only the team knows what was said in the locker room during the second intermission, but that group was ready to show their heart and soul over the next 20 minutes. Erie was troubled by penalties all game long, but they were not ready to let that stop them. Andre Burakovsky sent Michael Curtis on a shorthanded breakaway just under 4 minutes into the period. Curtis's move to the backhand fooled Justin Nichols as the Otters got on the board. Erie was shorthanded again, but this time it was the captain, Connor Brown, with the breakaway opportunity. His move beat Nichols to bring Erie within a goal. The Otters once again were down a man, this time with the clock running out in the final minutes of regulation. Erie pressuring, with their own goaltender off for the extra attacker. Were able to get the puck to Spencer Abraham. Abraham's first shot was fought off, but he got his own rebound and put the puck in the back of the net to tie the game with 52 seconds left on the team's third unanswered shorthanded goal. A movie script couldn't have been written better. As overtime began and Erie moved the puck to Connor McDavid, streaking down the left wing wall. McDavid unleashed a seeing eye shot that blew by Nichols on the short side to complete the comeback as the Otters won 4-3. Hockey was truly alive in Erie after that game as the crowd nearly blew off the roof of the newly renovated building in the celebration. The Otters would be the first to load up in what would be an arms race for the Midwest Division title. The Otters acquired centerman Brendan Gaunce from the Belleville Bulls on November 26th. The Vancouver Canucks first-round pick back in the 2012 NHL Draft instantly beefed up the Erie roster. The big center added depth, scoring, and playoff experience to a team that had nothing but an OHL championship in its sights. Erie also went out and acquired another big, physical body at the trade deadline. This time it was for protecting the blue line. The Otters made their final addition to their team by acquiring Curtis McDermott from the Owen Sound Attack near the trade deadline on January 9th. A free agent signing of the Los Angeles Kings, McDermott solidified the Erie defense as the march toward the postseason continued. History was made in the month of January as Connor Brown etched his name into the Erie Otters record book with a 2-point performance on January 27th. Brown entered the Monday night tilt with the Belleville Bulls trailing Corey Pecker's single-season record of 99 by just a single point. Brown set up Dane Fox for a power play goal midway through the second period to tie that single-season record of 99 points. Then, late in the third period, Brown sealed the game with an empty net goal to break Pecker's record and become the first Erie Otter to ever hit 100 points in one season. Brown would also finish the year with 128 points to lead the entire CHL and establish a new team mark, while also setting a new team single-season assist record with 83 on the year. Connor Brown was named OHL Player of the Month for January, the third member of the team to win it on the season. Adam Pelech was also recognized by the league as Defenseman of the Month, the first time an Otters defenseman was ever recognized for such honor. Pelech returned from Sweden after playing with Team Canada at the World Junior Championships to lead all Blue Liners with 17 points during the first month of the new year. Connor Brown wasn't the only one setting records for the Erie Otters this past season. Overage forward Dane Fox had one last ride in the league, and everyone could tell he was set to make it a memorable one. Fox's goal-scoring pace made it seem like it was going out of style as he entered January with a chance to become just the second Otter in team history to eclipse the 50-goal plateau. Dane, he did it in style, tallying a hat trick on January 12th against the Windsor Spitfires to get goals number 49, 50, and 51. Fox was just then 2 goals away from Corey Pecker's single-season goal-scoring record of 53. He would tie the record on the road at Owen Sound on February 1st, setting up the opportunity to break the record at home. On February 6th against Saginaw, Dane Fox was keyed in solidifying himself in Erie Otters history. Connor Brown would set up Fox on the power play midway through the third to notch his 54th goal of the season. He'd finish the year with 64 goals to lead the entire CHL. With a playoff spot clinched for the first time since 2011, the end of the regular season was all about positioning for the Western Conference standings. The Erie Otters ended the year on an 8-game winning streak to secure the 3rd spot in the conference and clinch home ice advantage for the first round of the playoffs. Erie outscored their opponents 53-18 during their season-ending streak, scoring 5 or more goals in 5 of those victories. Andre Burakovsky and Dylan Strome were named Player of the Month and Rookie of the Month, respectively, for their performances in March to close out the regular season. The team was recharged for the postseason as they were off to the Western Conference quarterfinals to host the Saginaw Spirit. It had been 3 years since Erie had seen playoff hockey in its home building. The Otters welcomed the Spirit in for a first-round matchup that many people expected to see Erie walk all over the visitors. But Saginaw and goaltender Jake Patterson came ready to play. The Spirit jumped out to a 2-0 lead early in Game 1 as the Otters looked to find their game in the playoffs. Connor Brown would wake up the team with a power play goal under 5 minutes left to play in the first to get Erie on the board. Andre Burakovsky would tie the game on a power play goal at 6:25 of the second period, only to see Saginaw reclaim the lead late in the second. The Otters were no stranger to comebacks on home ice, though, as they looked to do it again in the third period. Burakovsky would tie the game in the third, setting up Dane Fox's game-winning power play goal with under 2 minutes to play. With a 1-0 series lead, Erie looked to hold home ice advantage in Game 2 the next night. The Otters jumped out to a 2-0 lead on goals from Burakovsky and Fox, but Saginaw spirited their way back. The visitors would tie the game at 3 near the end of regulation to force overtime. Overtime, well, it needed a hero. And for the second straight night, Dane Fox would be the man. McDavid feathered a pass in front to Fox for the overtime game winner, sending Erie to Saginaw with a 2-0 series lead. Game 3 saw the Spirit push back as they bested the Otters 7-6 in a high-scoring affair that needed another overtime to find a winner. Still holding a 2-1 lead in the series, Erie knew they couldn't let Saginaw dictate play. They'd make their adjustments and focus in on Game 4. There was even talk that maybe, just maybe, the Spirit could pull off the unthinkable upset. But the Otters, well, they flexed their muscles in the next game. Despite giving up the first goal, the Otters rattled off the next 4 to take a 4-1 lead by the 5-minute mark in the second period. Dane Fox led the way with a pair in the first. Connor Brown and Andre Burakovsky each figured in as well to extend the lead. Saginaw would pull within 1 halfway through the third period, but that was as close as Saginaw would get. Fox would complete the first playoff hat trick for the Otters since Anthony Luciani in 2011, as Connor McDavid would notch his first OHL playoff goal as the Otters went on to win 7-3 in Game 4. The second round was on the horizon as the Otters walked into the Dow Events Center for Game 5, holding a 3-1 series lead. It seemed even closer when Connor McDavid gave the Otters the early lead in the first. With their backs against the walls, however, Saginaw struck back, stealing that 2-1 lead before the first period ended. It was the Otters' mid-season acquisition who answered the bell when clutch called. Brendan Gaunce took a Dane Fox pass to spring on a breakaway. Gaunce fooled Jake Patterson, roofing the shot over the blocker to tie the game at 2. Devin Williams came up huge in the third, making numerous big saves to keep the game tied and send the game to overtime. In the extra frame, another one of Erie's new faces showed up. Michael Curtis took a Spencer Abraham pass and walked into the Saginaw zone. Curtis let a wrist shot go from just inside the blue line that snuck by the goaltender and sent the Erie Otters into the second round for the first time in a decade. The second round pinned the Erie Otters against the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in a series that would see the two teams with the furthest distance between them. The season series went tied with a win for each team. The last meeting saw the Sioux handle Erie 8-2 at the Esser Center. That game may have been lingering in the heads of the Greyhounds as they were not ready for what the Otters were dishing out. Erie came out flying to start the game. It took just under 2 minutes for Michael Curtis to get on the board on a nice setup from Dylan Strome. And Strome wasn't done for the night either, as he scored his first ever OHL playoff goal midway through the second frame to put Erie up 2-0. And then Connor Brown would figure into the game as well, putting the Otters up 3-0, and they would take Game 1 3-1. Game 2 in the Sioux was all about how the Otters could dominate a game. Devin Williams was outstanding on the night as he stopped 33 shots, including 14 in the first frame, in an early frenzy from the desperate Greyhounds. Erie weathered the early storm and was set to take over the game. Connor McDavid scored the first goal of the game midway through the first period as he was dominant all night long. McDavid finished with 2 goals and 4 points to help power the Otters to a 4-0 decision and a 2-0 lead. It was back to the Erie Insurance Arena for Games 3 and 4. Devin Williams was coming off his first career playoff shutout and was still in the zone from the previous game. Williams was a stone wall for Game 3. He stopped another 29 shots on his way to his second straight shutout. The Otters got the game-winning goal from an unlikely source. It was defensive defenseman Troy Donnet. He wired home his first playoff goal at 6:13 of the second period to put the Otters on top. Andre Burakovsky added some insurance with less than 2 minutes left to go in the third to send the Otters to a commanding 3-0 lead over the Hounds. Sault Ste. Marie had their backs against the wall as they were facing elimination the next night in Game 4. Erie had a conference final berth on their minds, but it was the Greyhounds who rushed out of the gate to take an early 1-0 lead 5:49 into the game, ending Devin Williams' Erie Otters postseason record for shutout sequence at 129 minutes and 35 seconds. The Sioux added another in the second period to go up 2-0, but if the season proved anything, it was that this group of Otters, never gave up. Connor Brown would redirect a Curtis McDermott centering pass behind Matt Murray to get the Otters on the board. And then, midway through the third period, Andre Burakovsky would finish off a net front scramble, poking a loose puck past Murray to tie the game at 2 and send it to overtime. One goal would send the Otters to the Western Conference Final and avoid another trip up to the Sioux. In the extra frame, the Otters would break out of their own zone with Joel Weigel and Brendan Gauntz. Gauntz would hand off to Weigel, who would charge into the offensive zone. And then Weigel, on a 2-on-1 rush, elected to take the game himself as he stick-handled into the slot and lifted a backhand shot past Murray to complete the first series sweep in Otters history and punch the team's ticket to the conference final for the first time since 2002. The Western Conference Final did not fall the way Erie and the Otters wanted. The Otters dropped the first 3 games to the Guelph Storm and faced a 3-0 hole on home ice in Game 4. But the Otters again showed their heart and desire as they gave the Erie faithful one last show at the Erie Insurance Arena. The group was facing a 1-goal deficit early in the game, but it didn't faze them. The Otters rallied, scoring the next 3 goals as part of a 4-goal period for the home team. Dylan Strome tied the game at 1. Then Connor Brown jumped into the mix with his 7th goal of the playoffs. Joel Weigel would chase goaltender Justin Nichols from the cage with his tally at 12:11 of the first. Dane Fox joined the parade late in the first frame as the Otters took a 4-2 lead into the break. Brown would add an empty net goal as the Otters sent the Erie crowd home with a winner from the Erie Insurance Arena. The Erie Otters took a giant leap forward in the 2013-2014 season in what was one of the largest turnarounds in OHL history. From cellar dweller to top 3 in the conference, this group of Erie Otters was out to prove to a league that they were the real deal. The season carried many special moments for all involved as numerous team records were broken and individuals received the credit they deserved. 2013-2014 marked the best single season in Otters history with a franchise record 52 wins, 106 points, 30 home wins, most goals scored at 312, least goals allowed at 170, most shutouts in a year with 11, and 150,588 fans in attendance over the course of the season. That's just a few of the records that the 2013-2014 Erie Otters set between goals, assists, points, streaks, and trophies, the Otters of the past season have memories they'll never forget, but they'll also be able to share those memories of the season with everyone who supported them as they reignited a hockey fan base in the city of Erie. The new era, however, well, that doesn't end today. A solid core group remains intact as the future is bright moving forward. With the experience gained in a deep playoff run, there is no doubt the new era is set for the next step in winning it all. In his second season with the Otters and final campaign in the OHL, this defenseman was a leader on the ice and in the locker room. The blue liner showed his work ethic and resolve as he proved to the coaching staff at training camp that he was meant to be a part of this special team. He won the final overager spot and went on to become the Otters' second leading scorer amongst blue liners. It's 2013-2014 Vinnie Scott Award for Determination winner Spencer Abraham. After a tremendous first regular season in North America that saw this winger post 41 goals and 87 points, the postseason seemed like another day at the office. The Washington Capitals' 2013 first-round pick scored a goal in 8 of his 14 games, and he led the Otters with 10 goals in the playoffs and was a threat anytime the puck was on his stick. The 2013-2014 outstanding playoff performance, Andrei Burakovsky. This first-year defender was asked to do a lot during his first campaign with the Erie Otters. He played in every game but one for the team and showed a lot of promise as the future of the Erie Blue Line. He recorded 25 assists and 28 points during his rookie season and was named to the OHL's All-Rookie First Team. The 2013-2014 Rookie of the Year, Travis Dermott. A great teammate does whatever is needed to help better the team. This player made strides on the ice in his second season, while also representing the Otter way around the Erie community. Between school reading visits, team appearances, kids club events, or even taking fellow mates home to their billets, this player defines altruistic. The 2013-2014 Steve Nemagon Humanitarian Award winner, Justin Felker. The Erie Otters get at the 2014 OHL trade deadline. This rugged defenseman was brought in to hold the blue line and strike fear into opposing forwards. His professional attitude and way he carried himself showed he meant business in helping to guide this team to the ultimate goal. The 2013-2014 Bassin Award for Dedication winner, Curtis McDermott. Everyone in the hockey world knows what this player can do on the ice as he dazzled OHL crowds for the last 2 seasons. He's also shown a strong game off the ice as well. His efforts in the classroom awarded him the Bobby Smith Trophy as the OHL Scholastic Player of the Year, the 3rd Erie Otter to win the award. And he also took home the William Hanley Trophy as the OHL's Most Sportsmanlike Player of the Year, the 2nd player in team history to receive the award. The 2013-2014 Certs Family Scholastic Award and 2-time Most Sportsmanlike Award winner, Connor McDavid. The Otters' blue line was once again led by this New York Islanders prospect. His stellar start to the season included an Erie record 12-game point streak by a defenseman that earned him a nod to represent Canada at the World Junior Championship. His 54 points and plus 52 rating shot him into the conversation as the OHL's best defenseman. The 2013-2014 best defenseman, Adam Pelech. The Otters found themselves with a great talent to select second overall in the 2013 OHL priority selection. There was a noticeable difference in this centerman after returning from the World Under-17 tournament in late December. In just a few short months into his OHL career, this fresh rookie began to look like a grizzled veteran. The 2013-2014 Most Improved Player, Dylan Strome. What else can you say about what the captain has accomplished in the last year? He led the entire CHL in scoring, became the first Otter to collect 100 points in one season while setting a new team record of 128 points in a campaign, also set a new Otters record of 83 assists in 1 year. Oh, and don't forget, he signed an entry-level deal with the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's a 2013-2014 Player of the Year, leading scorer, and most valuable player, Connor Brown.